First Aid Kit is the name of the band. What's new on Radio WINCHCOMBE? So we played What's New? The Everyman is staging an in-house production next week in the Studio Theatre. It's called The Doc Brief, and it stars Tweedy. Now, of course, Tweedy's well known for being a clown, but this time he's doing his first stage acting role.
My acting debut. Ooh.
Is that exciting?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's something I've always thought about. And I did shows, you know, at school and sort of things like that. But this is, this is the first proper play for me.
So how do you think you need to approach it in terms of, because it is quite a different type of activity?
It's interesting because I kind of got to come at it from the opposite angle from most people. Because I'm used to working with no fourth wall and, you know, having that contact with the audience and that kind of rapport, and if something goes wrong, you know, even in the pantomime, if I forget my words, I'll just go, oh, I forgot my words, everyone, and we'll all have a good laugh about it. So I can't do any of that in a play, so I kind of got to build up this fourth wall. You know, most people have a difficulty sort of breaking the fourth wall when they do other shows, but for me it's the opposite, so that would be one of the tricky things.
Is there potential it might be a bit like a straitjacket for you?
Possibly. It's just different, and that's kind of what's interesting about it. You know, it's kind of immersing myself in this character, in this world, and yeah, not being able to escape from that, which is interesting because I'm in the Doc Brief. It's all about being imprisoned anyway.
It's interesting this is written by John Oldham, of course, so he was involved with Rumpole of the Bailey.
Yes, yeah. I think this was written before Rumpole. I think this was one of his earlier works. But yeah, it's a fun play. That's what I was attracted to it when Michael Hasted, you know, showed me it and I read it. It's a fun play, and I liked the relationship between the two characters. The other character was played by Mark Hyde, who's the barrister. So yeah, that's why I decided to give it a go.
What do you think of the work itself?
You know, both the characters are fun kind of characters, and they have a very interesting relationship, which is one of the things that attracted me to it.
Now, it won't be long after you've done this play, they'll have to start getting ready for the pantomime.
Yes. I've been desperately learning this script and then kind of glancing at the panto script, but I don't want to look at the panto script too much in case I get them confused and muddled up. So, yeah, it would be pretty much straight into rehearsals for that, so busy. And
that's Sleeping Beauty?
It is, yes.
We'll talk about it in more detail nearer the time, yes. But meanwhile, it's the Doc Brief, and when's that on at the Everyman?
14th to 18th of October.
Well, I'm still at the Everyman Theatre, and I'm very pleased to be joined by the producer and the director of the Doc Brief. Now, this is interesting, because Michael Hasted usually does reviews at the theatre, but now you are in the hot seat.
Well, absolutely. I'm a man of many hats. It's more or less all the same to me, whether I'm writing, producing, directing, or I don't really acting, but it's all the same thing, really.
So why did you choose the Doc Brief?
Well, to a certain extent, it chose itself. I had this ongoing project with Tweedy, which I'd wanted to do for 4 or 5 years, that he wanted to do a straight play. And Mark Hyde, who we obviously knew and was in the pantomime, was also interested. Because of limited technical facilities, funds, etc., it was sensible to do a two-hander rather than involve lots of other actors. And for two actors of a certain age, one middle age and one sort of younger middle age, there are very, very few opportunities. And it boiled down to two plays. There was this one and an Edward Albee play called Zoo Story, which was very famous and popular in the 60s. We couldn't get the rights for that, so we went with Doc Brief, which I think is, in retrospect, a much better choice because it's much more of a comedy.
I mean, John Oldham is a fantastic writer.
Exactly. Best known, obviously, for Rumpole of the Bailey, but he was actually a barrister himself, so he knows what he's talking about. I hope people remember him. Although Rumpole is still being played, it's still on currently, I think, on some obscure Freeview channel.
How easy is it to put an in-house production like this together?
I think it's easier because it is in-house. You don't have to worry about finding rehearsal rooms, and most of the facilities are here, and I know most of the people, which makes it easier. I know Corin, who does the lighting and the sound, so we've worked together before, so I think it makes it a lot easier.
And how long does it take to put together?
We've only got a week's rehearsal because Tweedy is obviously very heavily committed. He finished Gifford's, I think, only last week or the week before. He starts the pantomime first week of November, rehearsing. So he has this limited window of opportunity. So we've only got a week's rehearsal.
Starts in just over a week.
Starts a week tomorrow, week on Tuesday, the 14th, yeah.
When are the performances?
It's Tuesday the 14th through till Saturday the 18th. There's a matinee on the Thursday at 2. There's an extra late show on the Thursday at 9:30. Because the rest of the shows are virtually sold out. There's a matinee at 2 on the Saturday, and that's it. So there are 8 performances, but most of them are actually sold out at the moment.
Michael Hasted there, talking all about that interesting production called The Doc Brief, and before that, of course, we heard from Tweedy. There'll be more What's Ons coming up later on the programme in the second hour.